We agree.
Well, it's comics time once more on Night Network, and this evening we're looking at the flip side to old Judge Dredd here, who hangs so grandly on the wall. The strip that is the flip side is entitled Bad Company, and I'm indeed in the bad company of Brett Ewins, who claims to be the reincarnation of Merlin, and Pete Milligan, who has been described as the Anthony Burgess of comics.
I described him as being.
And tell me about this Merlin bit.
Oh, I've been told many times, you know, by mediums and all this stuff. It's fine.
Medium?
It's true, totally true. Yeah, cool.
Well, we'll maybe get onto that later on in the interview, but let's start with Bad Company. As I say, the flip side to Judge Dredd. Tell us about the story, about what actually happens in this story.
Bad Company is about a future war set off of Earth. And it's about, essentially it's about one person's passage from being an innocent through the ravages of war to becoming the very thing he's fighting.
Well, let's have a look at some of the characters in this strip then. I mean, Brett, if you'd like to...
Well, this is Kano, of course, the main man. This is the main man of Bad Company, who's had half his brain removed and half his brain replaced by that of an alien.
An alien happens to be one of these guys, right?
That's right, yeah.
And that cover was drawn by Jim McCarthy.
Who can't be here tonight, unfortunately. Hello, Jim.
These are... Hi, Jim. These are the aliens. Tell us about these guys. What are they called?
Off go.
They're cruel. They're the archetypal bad guys, I suppose. They're the things which Earth are fighting against, and Danny Franks, the protagonist of the strip, is fighting against.
And Danny Franks is behind here.
There's Danny there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the man who changes all the way through from an innocent raw, as he is when he starts in Bad Company, to a mass murderer and a killer at the end, as war does to everybody, changes people to that.
And who are the other characters up here?
This again is Kano, Mad Tommy. Can you say a bit about Mad Tommy?
Yeah, Mad Tommy Churchill is basically someone who's hung up on the Second World War, and even though he's fighting in his future war, his dialogue is essentially trapped within that Second World War framework. So basically a mad sod, basically.
And the last look here, we've got Kano and Danny, and this guy here, who's here?
Yeah, this is Protoid. Yeah, he's an alien who plays a... Yeah, Protoid there. He plays a great part in the last couple of books of Bad Company.
Is this just like, you know, one of those, like, you know, war comics into the future? I mean, is it just sort of like, you know, whiz-bang and some thrills and some guns going off, or is there something more serious beneath it?
There's a lot more than that, isn't there?
There's a lot more serious, I think, because what we wanted to do was, instead of having a future war story whereby we looked at flashy gizmos and new interesting ways of killing people, I think we were more interested in, like, focusing on how it affects an individual. So the story is really about how this war affects Danny Franks, rather than the war itself.
Why is it that so much of comic book art tends to deal with the future? Why is it more often not set in the future? What is the fascination for you guys as a team?
I think the future is a more fluid time, whereby one's imagination can be at work, and you can create a situation or a scene whereby the things you want to say are more easily said.
With less pinned down to sort of...
Yeah, you're not constrained by, you know, the everyday world. Therefore, imagination can run as far as it wants to go, which is the great thing about comics, is there's no limitations.
So what do you base your image of the future on, then? I mean, where are the icons nowadays, the sort of enduring images that, you know, you guys use? I mean, I know there's a lot of, like, punk hairstyles and stuff like that in Judge Dredd, but where else do you see as something that might endure?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of influence in this strip, I think, particularly from Apocalypse Now, the movie, I think, and, you know, the whole Vietnam War.
Yeah.
I think it does have that look to it, and I did a lot of travels in Thailand, which also...
Yes, Thailand, the home of silk suits.
That's right, yeah. Bangkok. Yeah, Bangkok, the place.
Brett's particularly underdressed for this item tonight.
Yeah, I thought I'd
dress
down for you, you know. That's right, yeah. Yeah, well, of course, you know, I've just got up.
So if you don't make enough money at being a comics artist, you're actually going to become a dress designer,
I think so, probably. Yeah.
How true do you think your image of the future is? This is a future war.
It's not meant to be our view of the future. It's more about the present. But we use the future as the framework for talking about.
Do you think people reading it actually, I mean, I know you as a writer, that's how you set out, but do you think people who read it understand it to that level, to that length?
I think it has many different levels of understanding. At this 2000 AD, I think you can take it on a simplistic, interesting, entertaining war story, or you can look deeper into it and see it as things, you know, talking about how war affects people, about how a regular guy, a normal guy, who's suddenly thrust into a situation where every minute could be his last minute, and where he probably has to kill to stay alive.
I think in 2000 AD, the readership is so huge, like, you know, covers such a vast spectrum from kids of 14 or, you know, below 14, right up to Whitehall people, and Robert Runcie, I heard, was seen reading one at one stage. Yeah, it has been rumoured.
So we based Kano on Robert Runcie.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Mixture of Robert Runcie and Marlon Brando out of Apocalypse Now, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you know, the fact Robert Runcie reads comics is no surprise, because I was strolling by a suburban bookshop the other day, and lo and behold, in the window, instead of it being, you know, Wilbur Smith and Jack Higgins and Alistair MacLean, it was The Dark Knight, The Watchmen, etc. I mean, comics are here now, aren't they?
Absolutely.
You guys must be raking it in. I mean, how much dough is there in it for you guys?
Done a survivor, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll back that one up. Yeah.
But seriously, what is the scene with financial remuneration for the artists
It's
themselves?
not very good. Never has been. Not in this country, particularly. I think in places like Japan, where the creators get pretty much revenue off everything they do, you know, royalties and things like that. There you can make an awful lot more money. But over here, it's been really held down. You know, it's always been.
What
looked upon.
percentage of? I mean, you know, like an edition of Bad Company here, it sells for like £4.50. What percentage of that are you guys getting?
1%. Yeah, something like 1%.
How are you letting them put it over on you? So
we don't have much choice, really, unless you know we want to. What can we do? What can we say? We say, we'd like some more money, please. Yeah, I sort of lose my spare time, you know. No, but the artwork sells very well. Yes, you can make some good money, but
like the
it's not outrageous.
The Watchmen and Dark Knight must have pulled in a bit of dough for the artists,
yeah,
right?
well, sure, Americans have got better royalty deals.
What do you think about the fact that the graphic novel seems to have already established in it? That basically focused the attention on comics, the graphic novel, the Watchmen, the Dark Knight. Has that sort of actually put a weight around your ankles in terms of what you've got to come up with now?
I think it's like, there's good things from that and bad things. I think it's good is that it's opened up more markets and more people are willing to take comics you know, seriously. The bad thing is it might set up a kind of dictatorial attitude towards comics, whereby this way of doing comics is the right way of doing comics. It's the sensible way of doing comics, and anything else is not quite, you know, not quite the game.
You yourselves don't actually conform to the sort of graphic novel format, then?
Not really, no. I mean, I think they're comics. You know, I think,
I
think it's the up-marketing of it all, you know.
Make it problem even with that word, that title, the graphic novel. I think, like, you know, I'm happy to write comics. I think comics can be great.
Because the graphic novel was basically people saying this is not comics, this is an art form, this is something big and different.
It's like someone living in Clapham calling it Clam, or instead of Streatham,
or St. Rita,
yeah. It's the yuckification of comics.
What's the potential of comics then? I mean, for the future, just briefly. What do you think it can do?
I
think artistically, comics can be as valid as anything else because they're words and pictures.
There's tremendous potential, isn't it? The image and the word is, very strong.
Yeah, it's a great way of conveying information. I mean, you do have, say, the words and pictures, and they can both gel together to make a, a third whole out of the whole thing.
And there's going to be some stuff, you're going independent, you're bringing out a comic called...
A magazine called Deadline.
Yeah,
in September. Which
will
will be
more than
comics.
1% back on that, eh?
I hope so. Yeah.
Well, listen, Brett and Pete, thanks very much for coming on tonight. But before we go, we've got a rather super competition for all you lot, as we always do with these comics items. We've got Bad Company 1, 2 and 3 here, which we're going to give away. We've got 5 sets of this, but more than that, we've got some little badges down there. And this piece of original artwork, it's one of the pages from Bad Company, signed by Brett and Pete themselves. Now, to win all this, we've come up with a very simple question, because it is the week when Superman has his 50th birthday. The question we want to know is, what was the name of Superman's childhood sweetheart? Make sure you think about that one before you answer that question. Answers to us on a postcard, please, to Bad Company Competition, care of Night Network, not Ensign Radio, P.O. Box 90,